Thank you for joining us today. Mr. Why the Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko signed an association agreement with the EU? Why he has just taken office in 2 weeks?
The explanation is very simple. This document was prepared during the last 5 years. Before we had also document regulating our relations with EU. It was signed in 1994 and entered into force in 1998. It was document on cooperation and partnership with EU. And after the implementation of the document, we reached new level of our relations with EU, and two sides decided to prepare a new ambitious document. The time of preparations took 5 years. It was 5 last years, and during that time, of course, we prepared very good document which we required, very ambitious. And why he signed again? In our legislation, national legislation, we have a law on domestic and foreign policy, and in that law, it is a law. It is obligation of everybody in the country to follow what is written there. In that law, law on domestic and foreign policy. In that law, there is Article 11, according to which the main direction of our foreign policy is integration of Ukraine to European political, economic, and legal space, with the purpose of membership in the European Union. So Mr. Poroshenko just followed this law, and I should also mention that 2 months ago we signed political part of association agreement. It was on 21st of April. And now we are going to sign, it will happen tomorrow, by the way, in Brussels. We are going to sign trade and economic part of that agreement, which envisages free trade area, creation of free trade zone between Ukraine and EU. So, and besides, I should say that it was will of Ukrainian people. You remember that last year we had revolution, and the first motivation, first reason of that revolution was to protest against the decision of the former president, who decided not to sign this agreement. After that, many students came to the central square of Kiev, our capital, with protests, and their main motive of these protests was against changing this policy. So it's will of the people. And maybe I can add some more, that this document, association agreement with EU, was prepared mainly from Ukrainian side, of course, was prepared mainly by Ministry for Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Economy and Trade. In both these ministries, Mr. Poroshenko, our president, was the minister. He was Minister for Foreign Affairs in the more active time of preparation, and he was also Minister of Economy in the previous government, and he was directly involved in preparation of this document. That's why it was not just 2 or a bit more weeks after entering into office of the president. It was logical continuation of his approach to this issue, and it was will of our people, and it is according to our legislation.
So what is the main subject in this agreement, and why Ukraine focus in this field with you?
The key element of this agreement is creation of establishing of free trade area, free trade zone with the European Union. And I would say that it is not classical scheme of free trade area. It includes also free trade in the service sector. That means that it is deep and comprehensive, and it is contained in the name of this part of the agreement, that it is deep and comprehensive free trade area. That means that all barriers, tariffs, technical barriers will be removed. It will be free movement of capitals, goods and people. Maybe I should mention also that there is also parallel process on liberalization of visa regime between Ukraine and EU. Now it is on the second stage. After finalizing of this stage, we will have regime without visa. So it will be also free movement of people. This free trade area, it is not only a possibility to trade, it is also tool or instrument to reform all our economy, to bring it to the standards of European Union. And of course, on one hand, it is preparation for the full membership. At least Ukraine is considering this process as a process which has final result, final step, full membership in the European Union. And on the other hand, which is even more important, it is reforming of our economy, bringing it to the standards of European Union. Yeah.
What do Ukraine and EU benefit when it comes to this agreement?
First of all, I should mention that for what is for Ukraine Europe? Europe is first of all values like democracy, absence of corruption, and so on. It's not just simple words for us. The revolution which I just mentioned was also has happened also because we had a lot of corruption in our country just now, and values, European values for us means a lot. But on the other hand, there is also economic aspect of this issue. Why it is important? European market, it is the biggest market in the world. It is the market which has more than 500 million population. Including Ukraine, it will be 550 million population. So it is a huge market. If you take, for example, market of the United States and market of Custom Union, Russia, Kazakhstan, and Belarus combined, taken together, this market, European market, is much more bigger. And it is not also quantity of people. It is not only 28 countries which are members of EU. It is also quality of each country. If you take only Germany, for example, the GDP of Germany, I remember the figures of 2012. They have GDP 3,000.3 billion of American dollars GDP, imagine. And the quality of the GDP is such that 80% of GDP is made in service sector, imagine. And from 23 to 28% of GDP, it is industrial sector. So and of course you know such brands made in Germany like BMW, Mercedes, Audi. This is Germany, this is Europe, and this is why Ukraine would like to be there. Not only because to have these cars, but in general the level of life is absolutely different. So on one hand it is European humanitarian values, on the other hand it is the biggest market with the highest technologies in the world, and Europe For us, it's our homeland, because Ukraine is situated exactly in the center of Europe. That's why we are Europeans.
Following your opinion, will this action will make the tension in eastern Ukraine rising or not?
When you say tensions in the eastern part of Ukraine, it sounds like it is war inside the country. It is on our territory, it's true. But if you take into consideration that during this war, six helicopters and 3 aircrafts were shot down by the sophisticated modern missiles, anti-aircraft systems, you understand that it is not war inside the country, it is war between the countries, because this weapon was produced in Russia and it is impossible to buy it in supermarket. It is not peaceful demonstrators who can go to supermarket, buy PZRK, this is Russian abbreviation for this mobile missile anti-aircraft system, and to shoot down a helicopter or to shoot down plane. Many people were killed during this shooting down our helicopters and aircraft especially. So it is tragedy for us, of course, but we can expect, of course, some increasing of escalation of the conflict, but it is not tension in the eastern part of Ukraine, and I don't think that after signing this document tomorrow will be immediate escalation. It can be, but it is not immediately because we signed.
So what will Russia react with this agreement?
Reaction of Russia started, many times before. When we, for example, decided to enter World Trade Organization, which we entered in 2005, Russia was against our entering World Trade Organization, and it expressed its concerns that it will influence our trade with Russia, our economic cooperation with that country. But nevertheless, we entered WTO, and shortly after that, Russia also entered World Trade Organization, and now both countries are members of that organization, as well as Vietnam, by the way. So, and of course, we expect some reaction, and reactions concerning signing this document started especially actively previous summer. You remember when all export from Ukraine was stopped and the situation was continuing during some months. All our tracks, all our trains with Ukrainian goods were stopped at the border with the Russian Federation, and nevertheless we survived. Now we have also the situation when gas supply from Russian Federation also stopped. Now they stopped supplying gas to Ukraine. The only quantity necessary for supplying Europe is passing by through Ukrainian system, gas system, pipeline system. But nevertheless, we decided to have trilateral consultations after signing this agreement. This consultation will start in Brussels on 11th of July. On the level of ministries of economy of 3 sides, Ukraine, EU, and Russian Federation. During that consultations, we are going to explain to Russian Federation that there is no big danger for Russian economy when we sign this agreement. So this process is going on in absolutely natural way.
Thank you for joining us today.
Okay, thank you.